Hi everyone, peace be upon you. My name is Amal. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I want to speak about the three different stations that we must understand when we are doing the spiritual work. These stations that will help us enter this new year 2025 with a pure heart, an illuminated mind, and a body that is united with the soul, that can enter a deeper state of surrendering, that can receive the guidance and receive the inspiration. So in 2025, we're gonna witness so much change. 2024 was about exposing things. 2025 will be about change, and that change will include destruction. And this is not something to be afraid of, but something definitely to be prepared for. So, destruction of what? Destruction of a corrupted system, a system that puts you in a loop of addiction that leads you to depression, a system that imprisons you in a vicious cycle of surviving instead of thriving, a system that strips you away from your dignity, that makes you forget who you truly are, a vessel of the divine, a reflection of the divine. This is a system that is nurturing division and hatred. So we fight each other and abuse each other. But now, since such a system is being exposed, we must understand the spiritual work is necessary and is revolutionary. The spiritual workers are revolutionists because they are the one that will revive a divine system that are more in tune and in alignment with the divine, and in result, this such a system will preserve our dignity, will help us to transcend and become humane humans, will make us to focus and concentrate on what is important, will bring us back into that oneness, into unity, instead of fighting each other and hating on each other because of what? Because of religion, of race, of all these things that should make us curious about each other and get to know each other instead of hating on each other. So the spiritual workers, true spiritual workers, are the one who unites, not separate. So it's important to know such a thing because 2025 we're gonna witness that change. And it's important to know these spiritual stations that I'm going to speak about because it will help us to navigate through this time, and it will help us to do the actual work from a place that understand the truth that help us to be united, not separated. So these three stations are purification, illumination, and union. The first station that I'm going to speak about is purification. Purification through this mystical fire. Usually, when we enter this station of purification, something trigger us to enter such a state, because when this mystical fire inside of us is being ignited, it must be triggered by something, an event, an experience, a situation that will guide you back towards yourself, that will turn your gaze inward, and you start to look at yourself more closely. You start to confront who you are fully and completely. You start to see what is the quality of my heart. What is inside of my heart? What is inside of my mind? What is the quality of my presence, of my behavior? What are the things that I'm doing to myself? Is there a pattern that I keep repeating? Is there something that takes me away from myself? Here you are fully confronting yourself and you take accountability. You know that in order to be purified, you must also face these shadowy hidden parts inside of you that needs to be purified by this mystical fire. And when you enter this mystical fire, everything that is false, everything that takes you away from yourself, everything that comes from yourself will be burned away, and everything that is true and everything within you there is a good quality will be turned into gold. So Such a fire is purifying your heart and turning your heart into a golden heart, a heart that knows no hatred, heart that knows no harm, a heart that is so light. So this peaceful heart reached through this mystical fire. Once this mystical fire ignited, this is a fire that will purify your heart fully and completely and will open it to the purity of who you truly are. In this station, the station of a purification, it reminds me of a Prophet Musa story. And there are hidden symbols that will help you to understand this journey that you take when you walk into that fire. In the beginning of the Prophet story, Prophet Musa killed someone. And it was because that someone from his tribe was asking him for help. Because someone from the other side, which is the Egyptian, Prophet Musa tribe is the Israelites, and there was this tension between the Israelites and the Egyptian because of Pharaoh. What is interesting about the story, when that person was asking for help and Prophet Musa helped him, he accidentally killed the Egyptian guy. And when he realized what he did, he stepped back and realized, like, what I did was wrong. What I did was inspired by something evil. And I asked God for forgiveness. I repent. Such an event triggered him to take this journey, the journey of a purification. He escaped from the place because he was afraid that the Egyptians will catch him and imprison him. So he ran away from the place and he went through this journey, met someone, and that someone that he met eventually got married to, and he took another journey with his family. He took this journey into the wilderness. As they were walking in this journey, he saw a fire and he said that, oh, I saw a familiar fire. I'm gonna go and see if I can get some sort of guidance. And when he took this journey towards the fire, mind you, this is the mystical fire that I'm speaking about that exists within you. These stories, the prophet stories, contains such a deep wisdom and such a symbolism that when you take the spiritual journey, you start to understand them better. They start to make sense. So when he saw this fire and when he walked towards this fire, he entered into the sacred valley where God revealed himself through the I am to him. This is the mystical fire. Once this fire gets ignited, once you start to take this journey, this inner journey inwards, and you see this fire, you start to enter into that sacred space that exists within you, that sacred land that exists within you. And when you enter it, you start to realize the I am. You start to have self-realization and God-realization. You start to have that I am realization. Such a story will help us understand this important station that will allow us to be purified. When Prophet Musa entered this sacred valley, God told him to take off your shoes. This is interpreted by Sufi scholars as taking off your shoes means strip away from yourself, strip away from this lower self and enter into this sacred space. This is what the mystical fire does to you. It burns away this lower self. So when you enter this sacred valley and you start to realize the I am that exists within you, the divine I am that exists within you, you realize how when Allah revealed himself to Prophet Musa through the I am, when he said, Innani an Allah, la ilaha illa ana, which means I am God, there is no God but me. But it didn't stop here. It continues to فَاعْبُدْنِي وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِي. So worship me and remember me. So it's very important here because the journey of self-realization, of knowing themselves, doesn't stop there. When you enter this purification station, you realize that there is something that goes beyond you. There is something that is bigger than you. There is the divine I am that is worthy of worship, that is worthy of the remembrance. Because when you remember it, you remember yourself. And when you remember yourself, you remember it. You must understand the separation between it. You must understand that yes, it exists within you, but it also goes beyond you. That's why the devotion part, the remembrance part is important, because it allows you to connect to something that is beyond you. And when you connect to something that is beyond you, you're not fully, completely dependent on yourself. Why is it also important? Because such a thing, when you realize this I am, there is an interesting trap that happens in this process. It can inflate your ego, and when you inflate your ego, you start to think you are, in a way, God exists within you, there is no doubt, but you are not that. You're not God himself. God is something beyond, is something that cannot be constructed into a thing. So we must understand the divine within and the divine beyond. This story is interesting because also in this station, Prophet Musa experienced a miraculous thing, which is how his stick that he used to rely upon turned into a snake. This is interesting. It reminds me of something. It reminds me of Kundalini awakening, where your spine, once it gets awakened, this cold snake arise, and there is arousal of this snake. It feels that there is fire that inside that is being lit through this process. Notice these things, these symbolism that is hidden within these stories of the prophet, because when you understand them, you will understand the spiritual journey better, and you will understand the spiritual work better, and you will be guided. Because this fire, the symbol of fire, is this upward triangle. So the energy is going completely upward. But we must be careful in this station, in this purification, when we confront ourselves and when we realize who we are. We must be fully grounded and rooted, because such an energy that is being awakened and rushing upward, if we're not grounded enough, we can enter a state of almost psychosis. We can descend into madness if we're not grounded enough. And also, if we're not open here, that's why I emphasize the reality of so worship me and remember me. Here, it's important for your crown chakra to be open. But we must also be careful, because you cannot open it without aligning and opening the different chakras. Because when Kundalini gets awakened, the chakras spontaneously gets opened. So here, when this is open, we must surrender to something that goes beyond us. Because if you don't believe that something goes beyond you, if you enter this state, you can be misguided by this inflated ego. So we must understand that the crown chakra must be open, because such a state, in this purification state, can also experience ego death. When the ego dies, when the ego sees something that goes beyond it, the ego is dying. We must understand that death is not the end of things. Death is only the beginning. So you are being reborn into a different person, a purified version of yourself, a version that is completely pure and transparent. When you are going through a rebirth, the crown chakra must be open. And once it's open, you must surrender to something beyond you, to something bigger than you. So here, when we realize, oh, the existence of God, here when we discover the importance of surrendering to that what goes beyond us. So This is the purification station. Notice the things that goes in this life. You know how sand under very high temperature, it change into a glass? This is the same process of a purification. When you go under a high temperature, when you go through this mystical fire, you are purifying yourself and changing into this transparent state. And this is transparent state allow the light to enter inside of it. We must continue the journey and enter into the second station, which is illumination, where the light can enter inside this purified heart, this heart that is like a glass now. It's so transparent to a point where the light can enter inside of it. So here we are walking towards the journey of illumination. Illumination, where we experience Christ consciousness. We enter into this healing station too, healing through the water. When we walked through the fire and we burned away all the unnecessary things, we burned away our older self, the lower self, we must enter the state of illumination where the healing water washes away the ashes of the older self and allow the light to enter inside of this space, to enter inside of our hearts and inside of our mind, to be illuminated, to illuminate our mind. Because our mind in reality is a reflection of our heart. The heart is the sun, while the mind is the moon, and the moon reflects the light of the sun. So when the sun is awakened, the mind, the moon, will be illuminated. We enter this state of illumination, which reminds me of a Prophet Isa story, Al-Masih. I want you to see how there is similarity and there is a truth that exists everywhere in every religion. Prophet Isa story, you know how Prophet Isa, Al-Masih, was born under a tree? Notice how Buddha find illumination under a tree. Okay, there is a whole verse that speaks about the light of Allah that comes from a tree. There is an interesting reality here. We must understand that the tree, what does the tree represent? Represent our nature. Represent that it is in our nature to be illuminated. There is a tree that inside of us that we can go and return to, which is returning to your nature. When Prophet Isa was born, Allah made a river beneath Sayyida Maryam, peace be upon her, so she can drink from it. This river is this healing water. Now, when you enter this illumination state, you are being reborn. You are being birthed by this womb. This womb, I don't know how to describe it. It's a whole dimension. I think we exist inside of this womb, the womb of compassion, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Ar-Rahma. When we go through this spiritual awakening, it's like we go through that, and then it's like we get out of this womb. It reminds me of Sayyida Maryam and how her womb united with the Holy Spirit and birthed the Christ consciousness. So it's like you are in this illumination state. It's like now you are inside this womb and the Spirit comes in union to you, and then you will be birthed into this new version of yourself, into this higher version that is illuminated, that is washed with this water that is the healing water. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. We made everything alive from this water. Water is literally a symbol of life. Now you are experiencing a different life. Now you are being reborn. And the story is incredible because it teaches us a lot of things. You know, Sayyida Maryam, she was an illuminated being from the beginning when she used to be in her altar and worship God. and do all these devotional acts. And she was adopted by her uncle, Prophet Zakaria, when she used to be in her altar, and Prophet Zakaria visits her to check on her. He used to see that the fruits that grow in the summer, she has it in the winter. And the fruit that grows in the winter, she has it in the summer. And she has all these things. Where did she even get it? Because she never leaves her altar. And when he asked her, he was like, how did you even get all of these things? She said, هو من عند الله يرزق من يشاء بغير حساب. It is from God. He provides without account. So this is the divine magic that you will experience in this illumination state. This is the divine magic that will heal you. You will understand that there is a pure type of magic that requires purity and utter devotion, that through it you will receive the gifts of Allah, the abundant gifts of Allah. Miraculous things can happen to you. Understand that nothing is literally hard. Nothing is out of reach. Everything is within reach. You must understand how you extend your arms and open your hands to receive. Everything is within reach. Everything exists within you. This station of illumination, you start to experience powerful abilities and capabilities that exist within you. And you experience this light of healing that opens you up to the true potential that will allow you to explore these abilities and capabilities, these healing abilities and capabilities. That's why a lot of people, when they go through this period, they start to claim that role of a healer, which is okay. Like, I respect healers, I respect spiritual workers that give services, I fully respect that. But in these stations, we must understand that we shouldn't cling into these roles, we shouldn't cling into these abilities and capabilities. We should go deeper, because we will experience also a deeper state, a state that will lead us toward the third station, which is union. Union. After getting a closer look at who we are and what we need to purify, and then walking towards the illumination, illuminated the hidden parts that exist within us, illuminated our powerful abilities and capabilities that were asleep and now they are awakened, we enter a state of union. And union happens between what and what? Union happens here between the body and the soul. That what is dense and what is delicate. That what is solid and what is subtle. Once these two things gets in union, once you get a closer look in your inner reality and see that inside of you there is division, inside of you there is separation, once you unite your divided inner self, once you are no longer occupied, once everything inside of you comes into that oneness and go back to that center, which is that singular point that pulls everything towards it. Here the body start to unite with the soul. Here you experience this marriage between that what is dense and that what is delicate. Through that union, with this marriage that happens, you start to profess your submission to Allah. When you say La ilaha illallah, it means that you are announcing your independency from occupation, from all the things that has occupied your mind and your heart. It means that you are freeing yourself from yourself. It means that you are being liberated right now. In the soul and the body gets united and enter this state of submission, you understand that you are now being free, you are liberated, and La ilaha illallah is what liberates you, because you are announcing your independency from occupation. You become a liberated land, a liberated person. And this is the teaching of a Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This is the state where you enter and you realize indeed, whichever way you turn, there is the face of God. Whichever way you go, it will direct you to Allah. Whatever happens, it happens because of Allah. Now, when you announce your independency from all the occupation, from your own self, you realize whatever you do, wherever you go, whoever you are with, God, Allah is always there. In the teaching of a Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, there is emphasis in the oneness of Allah. Monotheism is the body that help contains the spirit of oneness. In every spiritual teachings, it speaks about that oneness. And this oneness can be practiced by saying La ilaha illallah, by understanding the reality there is one and only, and you return to that one and only, the one who united your body with the soul, the one who made you realize who you are, the one who illuminated you. There is only one. This whole journey was guided by the one, is leading to the one who united your dense bones with this soft flesh. This is union. This is Al-Jami', the one who unites. This is one of the divine names, one of Allah's names is Al-Jami', the one who unites, the one who united your bones with the flesh, the structural framework. Your bones is the structural framework that holds the soft tissues, the soft flesh. Here, when you enter this union, you enter the reality of uniting the body with the spirit. Whatever we do, we always in that state of remembrance, because we're always in that state of oneness, returning to that oneness, understanding how to rely upon this one and only. Here in this station, we enter this deep state of surrendering, or the deep state of submission, where we understand that to God we belong, and to God we return. We understand there is no refuge from Him except in Him, because everything is Him. Everything is Huwa, Allah. One of the secrets that the Sufi speaks about is Huwa. Huwa, they say that within it there is the greatest secrets of the universe. Huwa in English literally translate into He is, but in reality, when you sit with Huwa, it's not simply a pronoun, and it's not a pronoun that refer to a masculine figure. Allah is beyond that. Allah is not that. Allah is not like, you cannot specify Allah and construct Allah into a gender. See it as like, the pronoun is as like a pointing finger to that what is beyond. Don't get caught up looking at this finger. Look at what's beyond. Look at the moon. Don't look at the one who points out to it. In Arabic, huwa, actually knowing Arabic and reading the Quran and understanding these things puts you in a different type of dimension and different type of reality, and you start to understand it even more. Huwa, it's almost a dimension. It's not a pronoun. It's a reality. It's a realm by itself. Huwa, it describes this delicate realm that when you enter it, you understand there is a spirit that moves everything. Huwa is the spirit behind everything, is that intelligence behind everything. Huwa reminds me, of what? When you go through a journey and then you finally get to rest and you release that sigh of relief and you just say, the sigh of the relief that you release at the end of your journey. This is what Huwa is. This is what what I refer to when I speak about God. This is how delicate, how subtle, soft it is. This is what I'm referring to when I speak about Allah. This is the spirit of it. It's as delicate as the breath. It's as subtle as the blink of the eye. When you finally realize, when you finally come into that conclusion, when you finally come into that realization where everything is in the hands of Huwa. Everything is moved by Huwa. Everything will be okay because I am with Huwa. Here, when you realize, indeed, what a relief to discover the one that recognized my existence before my accomplishment, the one that embraced my harshness before my softness, the one that accepted my ignorance before my illumination, the one who directed my forgetfulness before my remembrance, the one who touched my heart before my skin. This is the memory of the one. This is the reality of that one. That one, when you understand that the discovery of such a one is a relief to the heart, is a relief to the mind. Here, you no longer need to worry about anything. You are in the hands of God. You are in the hands of the one who will direct everything, the one who will bless you, the one who will guide you. With God will, there is no doubt you will get what you want. Here, when you finally come into that conclusion that I have found this treasure, finally, I found that treasure. I found what I was searching for. Here, where you realize that I submit to this greatness, that I no longer need to occupy myself with anything, that I no longer need to worry about anything. As long as I am with the one, I'm good. So, this is kind of the end of the journey, but the journey continues, you know, these different stations. It's not like they are intertwined. Sometimes you will go back to that purification. Sometimes you will experience the illumination. Sometimes it will take so time to reach that union. But these are the things you understand when you take this journey and when you actually do the spiritual work. So these are also important things we must understand as we enter this new year, as we enter this 2025. We want to enter it, as I said at the beginning of the video, with an illuminated mind, a pure heart, and a body that is united with the soul, so we can be guided, so we can receive the blessings, so we can go in this journey with peace and ease. Hopefully this new year be full of blessings, full of love, full of peace. As long as you are with God, you're good. You have nothing to worry about. And always, always, always take it easy. This is my current mantra right now. To take everything easily. Don't complicate things. Simplify it for yourself. So when you take this journey, you will enjoy it instead of you struggle with it. That's it for today's video. Peace.